let me finish it myself. Let me finish
You worthless piece of shit, George. You can't even get hard for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, Wisconsin men are very, very nice because they outnumber women. It's like, there's like 60%. At this point, it's probably even more like 70 to 30 or something. So they're so nice. And these women, they just do very, very mean-spirited things to these poor guys.
Oh, yeah. And the marriage was predictably horrific for involved. George was constantly berated by Augusta, but you could also say that she might have some reason to berate him. He was almost an aggressively lazy drunk, and sometimes he would refuse to even speak for days on end.
He's been shell-shocked. He's so torn down. He's so beaten down. He's just like, he's completely resigned to his fate that he's going to die in an easy chair.
Yeah, but
the way they courted each other is also like straight up. She just chose him because he was tall.
Yeah. Oh, that's
what she was obsessed with, the fact that he was tall and had a strapping good, like, because he had sort of like what she called a regal stance, because he was tall and broad-chested, but he was never a good worker. Because basically when his family died, it set the tone for his whole life, and everybody told him, like, you should have died with him.
Yeah. She chose him with, sitting in the corner of some smoky bar with chewing tobacco in her lips, spitting into a spittoon. She looked at him, she's like, yeah, that's the one. Home. And then he was just so thrilled a girl was talking to him, and then he had no idea that was going to be the worst situation of his life.
Oh, my God. And he was one hell of a drunk, although she was completely sober all the time. And in fact, when he came home drunk, she would start berating, you're just a drunk, George, you're just a drunk. And he'd start flailing at her with open hands, just hitting her again and again. She'd fall to the floor and just keep hurling the insults. And after each beating, that's
Augusta could take care of herself.
And they described it as flailing with open hands. So it was pretty much just a slap fight. And then after he finished with her, she would just get down on her knees and just pray for his death. I
always find that something like this, it's like, I understand we had rough Christmases too in my family. Like we were it was a very intense household, but I would say that it's just like not great for kids.
No, not ideal for kids.
Am I going on
I think it's safe to say when George comes home drunk and has the slap fight with Augusta, that's not the best evening for a child's life.
And then she's got to pray for death. You got to pray for his death while Ed's
Dear Lord Jesus Christ. I want to hear that prayer so bad.
Well, nevertheless, in 1901, Augusta allowed George to implant his seed in her musty, unwelcoming hole.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that you wrote that down there in the outline. Musty, unwelcoming hole.
I think it's a pretty accurate representation.
I don't know if you took off her underpants,
right,
and she had the sweetest, greatest vagina on the face of the planet, honestly. And it drove George insane.
It's possible. It's possible. That's what she's protecting all these years.
Yep. On January 17th, 1902, 2 days before my birthday, Augusta gave birth to Henry Gein, the oldest of the Gein boys. Yes. They both stayed single until the day they died, which
is really creepy. Your early 40s.
No, not for Plainfield. That's pretty standard. Pretty typical.
I suppose so. 4 years later, Augusta decided she could try again because she wanted a girl, someone that was free from the sins of man. She allowed George into her bed once more, and poor Edward Theodore Gein was created. Yep, Eddie Teddy.
Sweet Eddie Teddy was born.
Eddie Teddy's created with drunken PBR-riddled sperm as Augusta stared blankly into George's eyes. Literally, he's personification of born into the world with hate.
And I also love this sentence from Deviant. And Ed would not be sinful. He would not be like every other man in this abominable world. He would be pure. He would be good. But what he would eventually become would shock the world in ways we had never thought possible.
Actually, that's not from Deviant. Those are my words.
Wow, good work.
That is exciting, but anybody else, he wouldn't be like your normal fat Wisconsin farmer. He was different.
He was different.
And we were talking about Bruce Jenner. Oh, my God, the transitioning that Bruce is going through. And I love that. And if you're trans, we support you 100%.
There's no place to escape to.
This is the last podcast.
On the left. That's when the cannibalism started.
What was that?
There's no place to escape to.
This is the last podcast.
On the left. That's when the cannibalism started.
What was that?
Solid gold.
Like solid gold.
Okay.
Cost $1 million.
Marcus, are these things on?
These things are on, although we did not get all of the Ben is a tuba talk.
Oh, no, yeah. Keep the tuba talk in there. Okay, for those that missed it, before it said I was a tuba.
You are a tuba because you sound like farts, but you look like $1 million.
Look like $1 million, which
Yeah.
seems like a very expensive tuba.
Yeah.
Today's sponsor of Last Podcast on the Left is the nerdy subscription service Loot Crate. If you sign up for Loot Crate, you will receive a monthly box with 6 to 8 cool items like vinyl figurines, comics, shirts, and more. And each month has a specific theme. March's Loot Crate is a dynamite, jam-packed collection of covert operations. You'll find items that celebrate the very best of spies, undercover agents, operatives, and espionage from some of your favorite spy and thriller franchises. So go to lootcrate.com/left and enter the code LEFT, that's L-E-F-T, to save $3 on any new subscription. And now, without further ado, Edmund Kemper, the co-ed killer.
There's no place to escape to.
This is the last podcast.
On the left. That's when the cannibal.
What was that?
Oh my god, this guy should be in Bartlett's.
If Bartless was without fucking a headless dead girl, am I right?
You are right.
I think the whole Bartlett's quotations would be very different if each quote was about having sex with a headless fucking corpse.
I don't know what Bartlett's is.
You've never
No.
done a research paper? You've never tried to make an AIM away message, something classy?
Are those cliff notes for smarts?
No. It's books of quotes that I used to read, I guess in the 7th or 8th grade. Then you'd say something like that where it's like, I don't know, like, I would fight for truth. I would fight for freedom, but instead I fight for these laundry bags. Or it's like some weird pithy quote from like Oscar Wilde or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't make up quotes like that.
No.
Half Oscar Wilde quotes.
It's all Oscar Wilde quotes and all just being like, I'd suck a bream in it. Oh, wait, it does.
Well,
Oscar Wilde. And then put that on his grave.
I guess depending on the age there. All right, we're ready to start?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope
Okay.
so. I fucking hope so.
That wasn't your behind-the-scenes banter?
No, I would. Yeah, I did it for the audience, but I also
that's
did
good.
it for us.
Thank you. That's Marcus Parks. I'm Ben Kissel. He's taking a sip of coffee right now.
You know, I'll tell you this. You know, I'm feeling a little lonely these days.
Yep.
Things have been really, the apartment's empty. I'm
Right.
dealing with a lot of stuff.
Really empty.
Really empty.
Yeah, not even a kitchen table.
Not a lot of furniture in my home.
No.
He eats standing up.
I have
man.
to because I lost all my furniture.
Oh.
But I'll never be Edmund Kemper lonely.
No.
You know what I
well,
mean? That's the thing. Reading about his life, I'll realize, you know what? I'm fine.
Yeah, you're doing better than Edmund Kemper, Henry. And if that's your base for success, everybody in the free world is doing better than
Sweet, sweet Edmund Kemper.
That's who we're discussing today. Finally got to the big guy, the massive man, the biggest serial killer that's ever existed,
Now,
Mr. Kemper.
In our big hitter series, this guy is sort of like a Randy Johnson.
He's the big unit.
He's the big unit. We got, Edmund Kemper, the co-ed butcher, the co-ed killer, Big Ed.
Oh,
Big-
yeah.
Big, friendly, dumb Ed.
I wonder how he got that name, Big Ed.
6'9", 300 pounds.
Yikes.
Little chubby.
Oh, I'd hate to be his pants.
Oh, huge.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He is a very big man. Funny little mustache, which I think is fun. He was a very sweet guy. Sweet, fun guy.
Oh.
I mean, at the cop bar.
Yeah.
Very sweet, fun guy.
And at the highway department, he had friends, or should we say acquaintances?
He had acquaintances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, what I would say about him is my feelings towards Edmund Kemper is that he's sort of like a Gamergate nerd. He is the type of killer that I find to be the most pathetic. You know, like Dahmer was tortured and Ted Bundy was another sort of displacement killer that we'll talk about later on in the podcast. But like Ted Bundy was kind of, at least he had like people around him. He was just a true fucking psychopath. And Charles Manson was getting his dick sucked 24/7. Edmund Kemper really needed like mystery from the game. You know what I mean? He couldn't. This is all because he couldn't talk to women.
Yeah. If Edmund Kemper, if he didn't have the childhood that he had, he would have been that really nice guy that worked at the highway department that just watched really fucked up porn.
Maybe. Or he would have been the co-ed killer. Who knows?
But yes.
I might go with the latter.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, like, let's go through a little bit about Edmund Kemper. He killed and defiled 6 co-eds, his mother and his mother's best friend, over a period of 3 years in Santa Cruz, California in the early 1970s.
Oh, and I'll also say about him, too, is that I remember researching about him before, but I forgot how defaults were. This guy,
Oh, yeah.
he was a bit of, you know how like Martha Stewart makes like the doilies? It's like, you know, if you leave her alone, you know, she'll shoot out fucking 90 fucking doilies out of her office. That's what he was doing with cutting chicks' heads off and sucking on their feet.
Yeah, he was a real wild fella. Can
If
you
just
imagine?
leave him alone, idle hands.
Is there anything more annoying to kill than your mother and her friends? Oh my God, talking about pinochle constantly.
Well, according to Peter Vronsky, in my favorite serial killer book, Serial Killers, The Method of Madness of Monsters, Kemper could be described as a displacement killer. He killed 8 people before he finally killed the person that he wanted to murder all along.
King Koopa.
You got King Koopa?
Yeah,
King Koopa's dead? I can't believe King Koopa's dead.
Free.
I love King Koopa. And that plumber was always trying to hurt him.
I went and get that cause at the Copa, but I did flying a hammer as I came. Oh, it hit me right in my belly buttons.
Oh my God.
I have 2.
3 times. That's all it took.
Mother. It was not King Koopa.
Oh, it's his
it
mother.
was his mother. So
Also, I feel like that's also very rare in serial killers where they actually got to the source.
yes,
Where
right.
a lot of times they'll kill around it because it's like Ted Bundy had built up an image of a woman that he wanted to murder.
Well, it wasn't an image of a woman. It was a woman who had scorned him.
yes, and so he had went after her for forever.
Yeah, he went after women that looked just like her.
Yeah, with the long brown hair.
Parted in the middle.
And so he actually got it. He actually got the dream.
Yeah.
He got to play for the Yankees.
Got the big prize. Got the World Series ring.
So as far as Santa Cruz, California goes, a bit of history about that. In 1965, the University of California opened an adjacent campus. And
that just blew up the hippie population.
Oh, my God, the hippie population, because it was a retirement and tourist community at the time. But within 7 years of the university arriving in Santa Cruz became what was known as the murder capital of the world.
It's just boogie board capital of the world. And that's the fastest the boogie board capital of anywhere is turned into the murder capital.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened before.
Except for Cleveland.
Yeah, not a lot of water.
Yeah, the boogie board phase of Cleveland was short.
Well, they didn't think through.
No, because all
Gotta
they had
get the
was these
water.
empty alleyways and burnt out football stadiums.
But it rains every now and again, so you never know when you can use it.
The reason why it was known as the murder capital of the world is because during the period of 1970 to 1973, there was a spate of murders. First of all, John Frazier, who was an extremist in the hippie lifestyle, killed a household of 5 in the Manson family style, meaning he killed them all in one night to stop what he viewed as the spread of progress that was ruining the natural environment.
Well, he's got to kill more than that to do that. And they also need to be guys driving SUVs. That's the problem.
Think about that.
Think about that. Get Ted Nugent.
Oh, yeah.
Get him then. Go get Ted Nugent.
Herbert Mullen, he killed 13 Santa Cruz, claimed stop a super earthquake from sending California into the ocean.
We don't know that he didn't just save the planet.
That is actually the truth. He could have been a planeteer.
Exactly.
It could be fire, water, wind, earth, heart, and butchering with knives.
I remember that ring. That was a tough ring to get. Your mother would never buy it for you.
Nice.
That's the greatest thing about people who killed for a reason that is supernatural. You never know when they're telling the truth.
You don't know. Maybe
don't
it's
know.
true. He could have stopped the ghost civil war.
We just don't know, do we now?
Yeah, ghost versus ghost, brother against brother.
Mm-hmm. Let him out. Let him out of prison.
And of course, Edmund Kemper killed 6 freewheeling hitchhiking co-eds. And it could be said that there's possibly some sort of cosmic balance here. The love of the hippie movement with the hatred of the rise of serial killers in the late 60s and early 70s.
This is why if your daughter goes to college, get her a car. You know, you cannot have them out there just hitchhiking all over the place. This should be the new Toyota or Nissan commercials. When your daughter's going to college.
Manson, Bundy.
What were they doing?
yeah.
They were walking. No one's ever been pulled from their Prius and murdered.
It also could definitely be proof that hippies are just really easy prey.
Right.
We were actually talking about this, about how, like, it's really easy to kill a bunch of hippies. Just if you're calling yourself fucking Moonbeam and you're not saying, hi, my name's Larry Gilmore to everybody, nobody knows who you are. It's easy for you to slide into an orgy and fall off a back deck into a ravine. You know what I mean?
That happened a lot.
How many orgies were dead? Just slick with lube, smoking a cigarette, just being like, I don't know. I kind of do like the new Beatles. Slippery slip. And he literally slips for 3 minutes,
right?
Sliding on his own looby-covered feet, and then shoots over the railing.
Yeah.
Never seen again.
Thank God.
Well, guys like Kemper, they effectively helped to end the hippie movement.
Yeah, thank you, Edmund Kemper.
And usher in the super violent 70s.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a thing.
I like the hip.
Fun.
Yeah.
But the thing is, these girls that he was killing were not even necessarily hippies. They were just college girls. A lot of them were very, because it's the kind of woman that he liked, which was demure, petite, 5'2",
Pretty.
buxom, gorgeous women.
Because he said, I ain't the best thing to look at, but, I like a pretty girl.
Yeah, he does like a pretty girl.
He's one of those guys. He's one of those dudes that looks like shit. He's fat, but he's like, look at that fucking pig. I'm not going to fuck that fucking pig.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's a problem is that if they got a big, thick old neck, it's so hard to get the bone saw through all that meat. And it's a good, nice, petite young girl. Ooh, so nice. You just take a paring knife, slip. You got a head all of your own.
Sure. Yeah, I've seen that infomercial for the night.
Ginsu.
Yeah, for the Ginsu, the ninja knife. I forgot that part of it where they were talking about petite.
Yeah,
women.
where it's a screaming petite college co-ed tied to a tear, and he just slowly slices through her, and then he's like, and I could still cut through a tomato.
Wow, and it did.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to buy it.
Well, these girls, they weren't really, they were still living that kind of hippie lifestyle.
Everyone
they were
was
still
just a hippie, right?
influenced by, pretty much kind of how everyone's just a hipster now. Back then, everybody was kind of a hippie. Now, Kemper, he was among the very first serial killers to talk to the FBI Behavioral Sciences Unit, which really led into serial killer profiling, led to the conviction of like Wayne Williams and people like that.
This guy loved to fucking talk.
He has among the largest public archives of interviews of any serial killer. He's up there with like the Dahmer 2-hour interview.
Yeah,
but
there's
Kemper
like
has like 5 or 6 hours.
He could have gotten into radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we already got a 6'7" monster right here.
Hello, how are you?
He would have been perfect for radio.
Yeah, and one of his interviews, he did hours after his conviction.
Yes, and what I actually think is about that, about his personality that feeds that, is that he really was very lonely. He lived a very interior life. We're going to cover it now. He had a very hard time reaching out. That was always his thing. He said that I want to talk with people and have them understand me, but I just keep killing them.
Then Ursula, he sounds like the Little Mermaid.
He's
That's
a little
really what
bit
it
like,
is.
He
needs to go confront his Ursula, and he needs to get his goddamn father back.
Little Mermaid
he needs to
3.
get his legs.
Little Mermaid 3. Ariel has gotten legs. She is now 6'9", 300 pounds.
Ooh, I love this one.
Heaving monster who's driving around looking for hitchhikers. And who did she pick up? Sebastian the Crab.
Oh my God, I hate that Sebastian.
She's got Sebastian in the car, and he's like, Sebastian, I just, where you going? Going to Palo Alto? Yeah? You going to Palo Alto? Yeah, man. We going to Palo Alto. Yeah, that's cool, huh? Why are you stuck up? Huh? You too good to talk to me? No, I just wanted to sing a song about being under the... I got this pot of water. Pot of water. And he starts boiling on a hot plate in the back seat.
Under the sea.
I'd love that movie.
Well, before we make one caveat at the very beginning here, A lot of the information we have about Ed Kemper comes from Kemper himself, but it is worth noting that he gives conflicting information in different interviews. He
That
says
is why we will be discussing Kemper's huge penis over and over and over again, because he brings it up relatively regularly.
No, he tells about 5 different stories.
Yes. And while the differences, it isn't like a completely different story every time. The details are off. And he also gave a different testimony on the stand after he was caught than he did in his confession to police.
The man understands the journalistic idea of that the story is better than the truth.
Yeah, that if you have the choice between the legend and the truth, go for the legend.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
the
he's
Brian
actually-
Williams effect.
He's actually very good at narrative, honestly.
He's a very good storyteller.
Well, yeah, we'll get into the books on tape.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Edmund Emil Kemper III was born in...
They didn't try with that.
I think it's a meal.
It's a
No,
meal?
it's Emil. Do you remember Dragnet? Remember the Dragnet movie? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Emil.
Why would I?
Yeah,
With
you
Dan
remember?
Aykroyd?
Yeah, with
everyone
Dan-
remembers the
yeah.
Dragnet movie. Satanism was involved, Henry.
Yeah, how could you not love that? I remember the guy that was kind of the henchman. His name was Emil Scuzz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was spelled E-M-I-L. So I know it's Emil.
Great.
Right, we got that.
Is great.
He was born in Burbank, California, middle child and the only son to Edmund Emil Kemper Jr., who came in at 6'8", and his wife, Clarnell.
Yeah, Clarnell is an odd one.
Yeah.
You don't hear that name too often, and I don't ever want to hear it again.
No, because it's for show horses.
It sounds like a way to get popcorn from the back of your Clarnell.
Clarnell?
Yeah, extremely domineering, violent alcoholic, definitely made a habit of berating Ed in public whenever she could.
It sounds like the first name of like a commandant of a police department. Clarnell, get in here! Like,
It's a bizarre one.
She was a big woman as well. She topped out at 6 feet tall.
yeah, she was a very big, domineering woman. Again, we're going to see this as a constant in many serial killer narratives. She owned Edmund Kemper's life as a child.
Yeah, at the age of 8, she disciplined him by forcing him to sleep in the family cellar for 8 months. The only way he could get out was through a trap door that was underneath the family dinner table. So every night they would pull the dinner table out, let Edmund in, push it back over again, and of course he couldn't get back out until the next morning.
I'm just going to make the case that this sounds like an extremely fun little hiding hole.
It does.
It really sounds awesome. You
If I
sleep
was a
under
kid-
the trap door, under the kitchen. I
I
would be
would-
making little army plans.
Yeah, I'd be looking at it and being like, it's like the Goonies.
It would be so exciting.
You just sell it to the kid like it's the Goonies, and then guess what? You don't have to see your kid for a good 8 to 10 hours a day. That's a tip for parents.
No, you're putting him away because you're worried he's going to molest your daughters or his sisters.
Yeah, you tell him that it's a pirate room.
Exactly. Make it fun for the future serial killer.
So Ed's father, when Ed was 9, his father left, sick and tired of Clarnell. After his father left, Ed became a gigantic John Wayne fan.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Gacy-esque.
Yeah, that went all throughout his life. That's one of the ways he was able to ingratiate himself into the cop lifestyle at the jury room where
Because
he
would
hung out.
walk in and literally do like John Wayne impressions, and they just loved him.
Yeah.
He really got along with the cops.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
There's something
really
about
well.
a bunch of drunk, mustachioed cops that love a 6'9" woman murderer.
Doing John Wayne impressions. That time doesn't exist any longer. John Wayne was the only dude that was really around. That's what every single guy modeled themselves after.
What about Rock Hudson?
Well,
So Ed's mother constantly compared him to his father. She fucking
Found any details as to why she hated the father so much, or why she kept saying? Because that was the thing, is that she kept saying he was just like his father.
Well, one of the things about his mother is that she was diagnosed with borderline or they think that she had borderline personality
Because she became
disorder.
super paranoid about both of them, right?
Yeah, about both of them, about them leaving her. That's one of the signs of borderline personality disorder. She was married 3 times, so she had
So romantic.
Yeah.
she had a problem with relationships. Let's just say that.
All right.
So at the age of 10, Ed already above average size. You know what that's like, Ben.
No, I don't. No.
Yeah, no, Ben is.
I am 5'7" inches tall.
What about Ben, the petite one Kissel?
Yes.
What would he know about above average size?
I know nothing about what Edmund Kemper's lifestyle was as a child.
His mother described him as, quote, a real weirdo.
It's because she was obsessed with the idea that he would come out of his room at night and molest his sisters. And this is why I'm saying, it's like, yes, I imagine it was partially mentally ill, and she looked at him and she kind of saw his father and she was like, he's going to molest. He's going to molest as soon as the chains comes off. But the problem is that I also think that I feel like the thinking someone's going to molest somebody street is a two-way street. And I think that a lot of the times is that it's probably knowing how Edmund turned out. Yeah. That he maybe was given a little bit too hard of a gander at his sisters, and his mother possibly saw it. Because we're going to look at this. To me, this is the key to Edmund Kemper's personality.
It really is.
Is that she put him away, saying that you're going to molest these kids, basically immediately taking the idea of women and these like and placing them on a pedestal above him. And one thing we know is you don't put that pussy on a pedestal.
No. You keep it attached to the person.
A taxi driver told me that.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Always take love advice from a taxi driver. That's a great idea.
Yep. Ed, who was, by the way, when he was a kid, he was nicknamed Guy, which is a real weird nickname for a big...
It's like calling a man.
Yeah. Guy.
Yeah. He was sent to permanently sleep, locked in the basement every single night. The only light was a bare bulb hanging from a wire.
Again, kind of cool. If you're a child, you can play with this.
Say I'm playing. You just tell him again. We're playing the game called Russian Prisoner.
Mm-hmm. CIA interrogation room.
Yep. He said this is where he allowed his hatred of women to fester and grow. He said he'd stare into the flames at the furnace for hours, and later told FBI profilers this is where he saw the devil's face for the first time.
I remember I saw the devil's face for the first time, and I fell in love.
That's nice.
And I was just sitting there, and I saw it. I looked in the mirror, and I saw a flash of him, and he said, "Kill people at the mall." And I was just like, "You're funny."
Yeah, devil from 1988. No one goes to the mall anymore. Well, where do they go now? Well, they're mostly online. They do a lot of Amazon shopping.
So kill people in their homes?
Okay.
So she put him in that closet to toughen him up.
No, that's what well, that's another one of the conflicting.
But again, if you think he's going to be molesting your daughters, you probably shouldn't be toughing him up, right?
No, you want to weaken him. Yeah, you want to weaken the boy.
So shortly after he got exiled to the basement, he killed the family cat by burying it alive, and that was kind of a revenge, his first revenge against women, because he believed that the cat has switched its attentions from him over to his sisters, and he said that he killed it to, quote, make it mine.
And this is where they should have called the cat daddy, Jackson Galaxy, to fix that cat's temperamental
Ed's not
problems.
a bad man. He's just misunderstood.
Very misunderstood. Or completely understood by his mother. We don't really know.
Yeah, so after burying the cat, Kemper dug it back up again, cut off the head, and mounted it on a stick in his room. And amazingly enough, he was able to talk his way out of it. He was able to lie and tell his mother that, no, I'm not sick, I'm not fucked up. I don't know what he told her exactly to get out of it, but it was the first...
Yeah, I mean,
Mom, this is what I like to call a stinky lollipop.
Yeah, this was his first. It was his first experience in hiding the darkness and being able to persuade people that no, there is not a necrophiliac murder behind this facade. This is a regular nice guy.
You got to know if you want to keep that head before you bury it.
That's
he just gave himself more work to do, and that's really the travesty.
Pre-planned. Yeah. Also, I think that what we're looking at, Edmund Kemper, of all of the killers we've covered, is probably the deepest sociopath of all of them.
Oh my God!
Where it's like, where John Wayne Gacy, because I look at him as like John Wayne Gacy is the ultimate to me in cloaking his personality, right? Where it's like he was a politician, big public figure, but I think, and then secretly was a boy murderer and loved suck. But I think that there is a difference. Like John Wayne Gacy got to do sort of play out his fake personality on a macro level. Like he got to do it in public, on TV, in front of people, like in board, like in front of like a lodge and shit like that. Where Edmund Kemper's fake personality was right on top. and it was a personal thing because everyone just said the same thing. It was like, he's a nice guy, he was a sweet guy, and because that's his persona. He's this affable kind of guy, but he's a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, sure.
And if you watch his interviews, anytime they ask him a question, there is no pause before an answer.
No, but
there's no thinking, there is no remorse, there's nothing there. There is just there's not remorse, there's not like I don't think he ever says like I shouldn't have done this. It's more like I did a horrible thing.
Yes.
Like he rarely says I shouldn't have done this. So Kemper, not unlike Dahmer, who, if we remember, played Infinity Land.
Yeah.
Kemper also, he had a weird, bizarre childhood game. His favorite one was Gas Chamber. Ooh. Yeah, his sister would tie him up and throw an imaginary switch, and then Ed would tumble to the floor and pretend to die of gas.
It's kind of a funny one.
It is fun,
funny,
actually.
yeah.
Jackie and I used to play Animals. We're animals.
Yeah, that's a normal one. That's a normal one.
Yeah.
Then you kind of relate to the animals, and you don't kill the cat.
And then Pa would come.
No.
And Pa said, which one of y'all's the prairie dog?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, not me again, Daddy. Not me again.
Right, so you're making light of a terrible situation. I'm happy you got through it, Henry.
So at age 7, he would sneak out of his house with his father's bayonet and go to his second grade teacher's house and watch her through the windows. And he would fantasize, even at this young age, he said he would fantasize about killing her and having sex with her corpse. He said, I knew long before I started killing that I was going to be killing.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, but that's a normal cycle. I went through a whole thing. It's like you couldn't even keep a pitchfork around me because I'd take the pitchfork out and I'd go stare at the gym teacher's house, but it was mostly just because I was sick of climbing that fucking rope.
Oh, I hated the rope. The rope was terrible. So he had a real calling.
Oh, yeah, from a very young age. It's like how I always knew I wanted to be in radio.
If he wasn't too big for the Navyman.
God, if only we could have fit him in a submarine.
My God. So, but when his sister teased him about wanting to kiss a teacher of his, and this actually comes from his sister's testimony on the stand, he said, if I kissed her, I'd have to kill her first. This is at age 7. So this guy had these necrophiliac tendencies from a very young age.
Yeah, but I feel like kids are weird.
Kids are super weird.
But that's a little bit stranger than usual. Like usually, kids are just like, I wouldn't kiss her. I don't want to get cooties, you know. And then he's just like, I'll only kiss her after I murder her.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's
different.
possible. Or like when kids see ghosts and shit like that.
Well,
that's what's scary when they're like,
yes.
There's a man in the corner. He's got a top hat, and he says, end it, mommy.
Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah, it's
Talking
weird.
about slavery, huh? Isn't that something? The Emancipation Proclamation's coming right from your closet, huh?
So 13, Ed ran away from home, and they were living in Helena, Montana at this point. And he made it
nice place.
Super awful place, Helena, Montana.
Montana?
Yeah.
Sounds like a fatter
Miley Cyrus.
I'm Helena, Montana. I'm here for
Helena, Montana. No one wants to know my real identity.
Okay, you have a neck beard. We're looking for a 13-year-old girl.
Can I just pretend? Can I just act it?
He ran from Helena, Montana. He made it to Los Angeles, where his father was living.
Tall guy.
And because he said, I'm gonna go live with Daddy now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go live with Daddy because Ed believed that they were very close.
He loved his father and he idolized his father growing up.
Father did not return the sentiment.
No, his ex-wife, his new wife, actually said, please send Eddie away. He gives me migraines.
Yeah, his very presence gave his stepmom migraines.
I mean, he's a huge kind of tartar boy who's like not hers. I would assume that his own mother didn't want him. Why would this other lady want him?
Because at this point, he's probably like 6'4". He's a big fucking bungle butt, is what he even calls himself.
No.
A bumble butt.
Yeah, when he said